vaiheessa annan mikrofonin Dave Nelsonille. Hänellä on ilo ja kunnia pyytää sitten tämän illan arvo vieras tänne lavalle ja ole hyvä, Dave. Please.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'd like to welcome to the stage our special guest who doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. So obviously, massive Liverpool legend, 6 league titles, 3 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, a European Cup, and some of the other smaller ones as well. Everybody, welcome to the stage. Put your hands together, make massive noise for the legend that is Grobbelaar.
Good luck. You have a second microphone.
Should be working. Very good.
1, 2.
Very good. Like a pro. So, maybe start with telling us what are you doing nowadays, Bruce?
What I'm doing nowadays is I'm relaxing. I get brought over here to speak to you lovely Finnish people. I go around the world with some of these functions with the Liverpool supporters clubs, and yeah, I'm having a good time. Other than that, I'm in the hat for the Zimbabwe job, maybe.
Ooh, okay.
So we just have to wait and find out if the committee will allow me to take over the national side.
Oh, fantastic. Great news. Okay. We'll look forward to seeing that in the news. Been in the Finnish news before it's anywhere else, as you've just given us a heads up. So, fantastic.
That's why you're being the first.
All right. So I want to start by asking you a few questions about your childhood. Obviously, born in South Africa, moved to Rhodesia when you were quite young, and obviously it looks like sports were a very important part of your life very early on. How much of an impact did the sports have when you were growing up throughout, when you were at school and things like that?
So being born in Durban, and my mother and father were in Durban at the time, he left and he went to Rhodesia, now called Zimbabwe. And he worked on the railways. So he left on the train and he went up there, and he said to my mother, you come up there when I'm okay to travel. Yeah. So at 2 months of age, I was on the train up to Rhodesia. And in Rhodesia, we played all the sports. I played 3 sports for my country up until the age of 15. That's cricket and baseball in the summer, and then football, and I played rugby at school as well. So 3 sports for my country. I was a sportsman because my father was a sportsman from the railways. They used to go to the sports club. My mother she sold shoes, and she went down to the railway club, and she played hockey and softball and those places. So that was my bringing up, outside all the time with the sport. And the sports club was fantastic. When I finished my homework, I'd ride my bike down to the club, go and have a swim, and then you ride your bike back. I know that it's difficult to understand here in Finland because you couldn't do that. You'd have to take your dog in the sled. So yeah, in Africa we did it. So it was just a fantastic upbringing.
When you played football, did you always know you were going to be a goalkeeper, or did you play in different positions first? Or?
No. My father was a goalkeeper.
Okay.
So when I was 2 years old, and my sister was 4 years old, my sister knew what she could do next to the hockey pitch. Because my mother was a goalkeeper in the hockey, and she just sat in the dugout with the reserves and the coach. However, my father took me and he put 2 big stakes in the ground behind the goal. And he tied me to the 2 stakes And I could only go 2 meters that way, 2 meters this way. So I used to just watch him play football. And if you want to know if I admired him as a goalkeeper, absolutely. He's probably my inspiration at a young age from 2 to 4, because I sat behind his goal.
Yeah.
But when I was 6, he turned on the television set and he said, no, 1966 World Cup, you have a look at this goalkeeper. And it was Lev Yashin. And from that time, Lev Yashin, the Russian goalkeeper, was my hero, my first hero.
Okay, okay. Very good. So then later on, at what age did you got drafted or conscripted into the army? What age was that?
I came out of school 16 years of age. I did my O-levels, which is probably GCSEs.
Yep.
And I signed for a football club from Matabele Highlanders, and I was a junior draftsman. So we were making beer cylinders for the Chibuku breweries. And I decided, it only took it 6 weeks, because I played 2 weeks. When we lost, the other goalkeeper got in. He was not the same colour as me. So. And then they lost and he kept him in. So I told the manager to stick the football team where the sun don't shine. And I took my vehicle and I went back to Bulawayo. And when my mother saw me, she nearly had a heart attack. She said, what's happening with your apprenticeship? I said, no, I'm going to go down to Durban. She said, no, you're not. You're going to go to the army barracks to find out when you're going to get called up. So we went down to the barracks, gave my name, Grobbelaar. In England, Grobbelaar. And he said, yeah, 6 weeks' time you're going to go into the army. I looked at my mother. I went, 6 weeks? Next week I'm going to be surfing in Durban. He says, no, I'm going to go to Durban. And with that, he said to my mother, there is one intake going in tomorrow morning. That was at 4 o'clock. I signed. Next morning, 6 o'clock, I was in the army.
That was nice. That was my first place, yeah. And how long were you there for, and what sort of effect did that have?
I signed in the military for 1 year.
Yeah.
After three to 4 months, Christmas time, 1975, we got mortared from the other side. So we knew that it's going to be, this is not a little picnic over here.
Yeah.
And then the next 6 months we rallied around, and our captain Taylor, he had an idea that because we could mobilize our unit. He sent 12 of us for tracking courses, 12 of us for hospital medication, and then 12 for radio signals. And we became a mobile unit, fighting the company, and we were only in 6 or 4 units of 4, because it's easy to be picked up by a helicopter with 4 or 8 if there's 2. So we were a unit, tracker, machine gunner, a medic, and an ops, and that was it. So we went into the army, and then we had about 32 days to go.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, sorry, you're going to go do another 6 months. So we did that 6 months, and we had 1 day to go for our next time. We came in on the Friday, gave our military stuff to the quartermaster store, and then we waited. Saturday night, the major came in and said, get your stuff in the quartermaster stores, you got another 6 months. So that was it. So you were always against everything. people say that you're going to be free. No, you're not. You have to go in.
Yeah.
And that was that final push, the last 6 months. I decided that my units are going to stay alive, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So was it immediately after that where I believe you signed a contract which had some animals involved?
No. That was a long time after that.
Oh, okay.
I left and I went to Durban City. I was going to go to Durban City because there was a person there called Bill Williams. And Bill Williams is now Maidstone's chairman. So if you look up in England, there's a team called Maidstone.
Yeah.
Bill Williams is the chairman. He was my first coach. And I went down to Durban, South Africa. And there was a goalkeeping coach, ex-goalkeeper for England and Blackpool, Roy Bailey. And he had a little goalkeeping seminar on at the time. So Bill Williams said, well, you might as well go in because you've been out of football for 2 years. And I see that you played for Rhodesia against South Africa and you drew 1-1 after we beat you 7-0. So you might not be too bad. So go into the goalkeeping clinic and see how you do. Well, came and had a shower, and as I came out, he looked at me and he said, Roy Bailey has just told me that you will never be a goalkeeper as long as you've got a hole in your behind. And he's the father of Gary Bailey. Yeah. I'd like to know where Gary Bailey is. Yeah. I do know where he is. He's retired on a beach in Miami, and I'm doing this type of thing. So that was it. I went to Durban City for 18 months, and I had a fantastic time in South Africa. It wasn't my country, it was my birthplace. And then Durban, I played for Durban City, an all-white team, and then the next year they went into a coloured league, which is the Asian League. But I also played for an African team called Amazulu, the Zulus. And I was the only white person in the middle of the township. And recently we've been to my ex-coach from Amazulu, Harry Weir. And he wants to go back into the townships where he goes now. And I said to him, H, don't even try and bother to go into the African townships. From there, 18 months later, I got a letter. This was telling me that I'm going to be going into the South African Defence Force. Because I was born in South Africa, and I've already done my military, they gave me 2 years, and then they were going to call you. They were going to send me to 32 Squadron. If you Google 32 Squadron South African Defence Force in the 80s, you'll find out where it's those mercenaries that were going to Angola.
Yeah.
They were putting me in a unit because I could track, and I was in the fire force. So I looked at my mate and I said, listen, this is not happening. 6 months. He said, it's 6 months now. 6 weeks later, he gave me a letter from West Bromwich Albion. Ron Atkinson had written the letter, Bruce Rodley would like you to come over here for a trial. So I did. I jumped on the first aeroplane, get out of South Africa,
Yeah.
got to UK, and I was there in Birmingham. I was there for 5 months, and I couldn't get a work permit. Ended up going to Vancouver, where Tony Waiters took me in. And Tony Waiters and Liverpool had a connection. I never knew that at the time.
Yep.
And then he sent me to Crew Alexandra, and I played 24 games for Crew Alexandra.
I'm from Crewe, by the way. It's a train station, that's the only thing there.
And this is what he said. He said, I'm sending you to the strongest team in the English league. So I shouted at Liverpool. And he looked at me, I said, no? I said, no. I said, what about Manchester City? He said, no. I went, West Bromwich Albion? No, no. He says they're the strongest team in the English league because they're 92nd in the Football League. They're holding everybody up on their shoulders. That's why they're the strongest. And if you get bored there at Crewe, you're going to Crewe Alexander. And if you get bored, you can go and watch some trainings. You know, at Crewe Alexander, I've got a record at Crewe. I've got the longest punch of a football in the history of the English League. We played against Mansfield Town in the evening. And Keith Kennedy, Alan Kennedy's brother, the captain of Mansfield, hit this ball top corner. I dived, I punched it. It's gone over the post, over the bar, over the fence, into a goods wagon. And the ball ended up in Inverness.
Fantastic.
So 24 games at Crewe Alexander. 20 times Manchester City watched me play. Liverpool actually only watched me once in a full game at Portsmouth, the second last game away. And when we came to our last game, our manager, Tony Waddington, he says, Bruce, we've done the business. I said, what do you mean we've done the business? He says, no, we're not 92nd in the Football League anymore, we're 86th. And because of this, you're going to be captain. So I said, no. He said, yeah, but there's two very important people coming to watch you play today. I said, oh, Manchester City. He said, no, they'll be there as well. It's Tom Saunders and Bob Paisley from Liverpool. So he said, please don't do something stupid during the game. I said, don't worry. Well, when we came out for our warm-up, it was raining. So I said to Mavis, the tea lady, I said, Mavis, can I borrow your umbrella? And I did my whole warm-up, 20 minutes, with the umbrella. And 12 weeks later, I was signed for £250,000, a record for a goalkeeper at that time from Liverpool.
So we were discussing it earlier. One of the questions was, when you signed for Liverpool, did you know you were going to be, because obviously at the time Ray Clemence was still there, did you know that he was going to be leaving and you were going to be first choice, or?
No, when you get this figure on your head, £250,000, a record for a goalkeeper, and yet you're going to come there to take over from the greatest goalkeeper in my estimation, the greatest goalkeeper that Liverpool has ever had, and the greatest goalkeeper up until now. That is in my estimation. Yes, I've surpassed his medals total, and Alisson might, if he stays there for the future, but he's got to play through the next manager, whoever comes, and he might do it, and I hope he does, because then he'll be the greatest. But I never knew that I was going to take over from him. There's a little episode where I had an interview with a chap called Matt Darcy from, I think he was the Star at the time. And he had Ray Clemence on that side, Matt Darcy, myself. And he's asking Ray Clemence, what do you think about Bruce Grobbelaar coming here as a record for a goalkeeper? And Ray Clemence said, It'll be great for him, and I could teach him for the next 2 years on how to be a goalkeeper here at Liverpool. And he said, and how long do you think that you will stay here? He says, well, if I get pushed to be the best, I'll stay here for about 2 years. And I looked at him and I said, Ray, you're not going to be here 2 years because I'm going to take your place. And with that, he got up and walked out. But there are three rumors why Ray Clemence actually left. You didn't know this, did you?
No.
But you're going to know now.
Yeah.
One, his babysitter got pregnant. 2, I told him that I'm going to take his place. And 3, he wanted a new challenge, so he left. And now you tell me which one is the true one. And I'll tell you all 3. His babysitter did get pregnant, but it wasn't him. It was conceived in his house when they went to a meal in the city. And she used to call her boyfriend. Yes, I did tell him that I was going to take his place in that interview. And the other one, he did need a new challenge. And the truth, the truthful one is the last one, because I found out that from his own lips. Because he said, I was sitting in Paris after winning my 3rd European Cup. And everybody was jumping around and having a great time. And because I'd won 2 and I now won my 3rd, I thought to myself, nothing will be greater than this. So if we don't win it, it's going to be a loss. And that's when he decided that he was going to go. And he didn't tell anybody, they just left. I found out I was in Hawaii playing golf. And I found out Ray Clemence had gone to Tottenham. I hit my ball out of bounds and went inside the station. And that is when I found out. And then that's the time when I came back in 1981-82 season, when we started off a little rocky, and at Boxing Day we were 13th with 13 points behind first place. And Bob Paisley came into the dugout like this. He comes in here, he's got his hand in his pocket, and he's, me give you the change, and he's looking for me. But as you come in the door for the change room, you come through the door, turn right, there's a little wall here, the change room goes around like this and comes around here. This is where I sat. So he comes around here, doesn't he? And because he looks around the corner, that's where Ray Clemence used to sit. He says, yeah, we gotta make it. You, he now spotted me. Come with me. He walked me down the corridor into his office. He said, how do you think you've played for the first 6 months? I said, boss, I know I can play better. Yeah, I can play better. Maybe I should stop walking on my hands and swinging on the crossbar during the game. He goes, yeah, if you don't, you'll find yourself back at crew. Now, when he said that, I went, whew. Now, that's like a punch in the stomach, or for the men, kicking the goonies. So I go back to the dressing room. He never told anybody, and he never talked to anybody for the next 5 days. Our next game is Swansea. He comes in. Yeah, we're going to make a change. He goes, Phil Thompson, is the captaincy too much for you? Phil Thompson gets up and he said, boss, play football, boss. Your captaincy's gone to Sooners, now get up and fucking play. And that was it. That was the only thing he changed. And also Sammy Lee. Sammy was the next one. Because Sammy got injured, Ronnie Whelan came into the side. And from that day onwards, we lost one game, we drew 3, we won the rest, we won the league on the Saturday by 3 points with a game to spare. One of the greatest.
Excellent. So, what would you say, sort of leading towards the 1984 Cup final here? What can you tell us about that? I know that I'm sure we've all read lots of stories about it, from the singing in the tunnel and the spaghetti legs and lots of things like that. But what's your sort of memory of it?
No, memory was great. It was fantastic. You know, coming to the stadium, the bus driver, 3 directors, the coaching staff, all the players, and 2 guys we picked up hitchhiking on the way. We were all stoned before we got into the stadium. You know, you laugh, it wasn't by sniffing or smoking or tablets. It was the actual rocks coming through the bus windows from the Roma fans.
Yeah.
So that's how we were stoned in the old days. So now we're in the tunnel, we're thinking about trying to warm up, so we got the song, I don't know what it is, but I love you. I don't know what it is, but I love you to say, I love you. We warmed up with that, came out for our lineup, and Souness said, if he comes through the door and carry on warming up whilst he's singing the song. So you go, I don't know what it is, but I love it. Looking at the fella that you're going to be playing against. Well, the Italians thought we were crazy. And we went onto the pitch, we played reasonably well the first half. We scored first. A little shin job from Phil Neal into the back of the net. Then Bruno Conti went down the left-hand side, cut back, crossed the ball. Putzer got in front of Alan Hansen, flicked the ball up, and it went far post and in. So then it comes down to the penalties. And there's old Smoking Joe, our manager. Right, I'm going to tell you the penalty order. Phil Neal first, Stevie Nicholson. Souness. Ugashi fourth. And Dalglish fifth. To which Kenny says to him, excuse me, boss, you substituted me in 86. Luckily, he's got another cigarette out. He says, but who came on for you? He looks down, there's a fellow lying on his back, feet in there. Michael Robinson, you've been on the field 8 minutes, you got cracked. Where's Lawrence and Hansen? He looks around, there are the 2 of them on the halfway line, waving at our fans. He goes, Sammy Lee, where are you, Sammy? You know Sammy, it's very short. But when you play football for 120 minutes, the grass grows high. In the end, there were 2 people like this. He looks at me, he looks at Alan Kennedy, he goes, Bruce, you take any foot penalty. But it never happened that way. It was come down to the coin toss, coin toss comes down, boom, Liverpool in the Roma end. Phil Neal has got one boot off, and he's tying the other one nicely. Stevie Nicol grabs the ball, and he goes walking into the box. He says, if he's not ready, I'm taking the penalty. Phil Neal goes to the boss, it should be me. He says, let's just run with it. That's the worst thing. Because I know, I roomed with Steve McManaman. I know he's got no brains. Well, anybody who's got size 13 and a half feet and tries to squeeze them into boot size 11, something's wrong upstairs. He puts the ball down on our legs. We call him shovel foot. What does he do? Shovel foots the ball straight over the ball. I didn't have to look up because I had an arm around me. I didn't have to look this way or that way to see whose this arm is because I could smell the cigarette. All he said is, listen son, shouldn't be in this position, and we're walking slowly. Shouldn't be in this position. We were the better side, we shouldn't have taken our chances. Nobody's going to blame you if you can't stop a ball from 12 yards. I went, oh, thanks boss. And as I walked away, he said, but try and put them off. And that was it. Try and put them off. So the first penalty I get in there, I'm thinking, what does he mean by trying to put them off? Now, usually I would have got into that area, stayed where I was, because the penalty taker is more nervous than me. I know he's more nervous. And it's going to the ball's just going to come around here. And I'm thinking, what does he mean by trying to put them off? I remember going right, the ball came straight down the middle, clipped my fingers, went in the back of the net. So of course I'm upset with myself. Well, Phil Neal now has finished tying his bootlaces, puts the ball down, sticks it in the bottom corner. Then comes that little winger, that little Italian winger, Bruno Conti. He picked the ball like here, and he's like this. And you can almost hear him singing to himself. I'm a Bruno Conti. I crossed the ball for Putzi to score me. Now I'm going to score a penalty. So I ran onto the line and went like this. Okay. Ooh, pass down. He puts the ball down. I went onto the line and looked at him like this. And he took 2 paces and blasted the ball over the top of the ball. And that was the first time I thought it might work. Italian international, that's what he does. Boom, if he didn't like it. Our captain, the greatest player that I've ever played with in my life, Souness, puts the ball down and sticks one of the best penalties in the penalty shootout ever, straight in the top corner. I couldn't get into the goal. I couldn't get into the goal with the next penalty. Come on, Rigoletti. Come on, Rigoletti, you beauty. You didn't know this, but 2 days ago, I was in the stadium watching you take penalty after penalty. Same top corner, come on. You're going to make my day, come on, you beauty. As he came to kick it, I went, boom, top right. I looked over, went top left. And then when I got off the stadium floor, and I had a look at it properly, I realized that 2 days ago I was watching him from the other side of it. Now in Liverpool, when you go there today, you'll see Ian Rush. Ian Rush, he'll be there in his immaculate navy blue Hugo Boss suit. The Liverpool here, looking immaculate. He can even speak English now. Well, when he was taking this penalty, he looked like a Welsh scruffy git. Socks down, shirt out, puts the ball down, and he hit the worst penalty, but because Ken Grady laid down the side, the ball bounced 3 times into the side net again. That's all strikers would say. It doesn't matter how they go in, as long as it hits the back of the net. So he is happy, he's on his feet. Well, now comes Graziani. Now Graziani, he beat the ball a long way away. Like this. Then he put his arm around the referee. I didn't like that. I went and bit the net. You can't touch a bloody referee. Leave him alone. Ungentlemanly conduct. But he carried on walking, talking to the referee like this, as if he was marching. But you know Italians, they don't march this way, they only march this way. Second World War II. You know what I mean? Well, in the end, he leaves the referee alone. He comes to the spot with the ball, kisses the ball, puts the ball down, then he crosses himself. That's when I came in the goal like this. He looked at me, crossed himself. I went like this. And then remembering, just getting ready, remembering to turn the stadium around, because he was the second penalty taken 2 days ago. It's coming here. I've gone early, he's changed his mind, he's scuffed it, and I'm down like this. Oh, it's going up. It's going up. Boom, it hits the bar, over the post, and I'm running around the field like an idiot. Forgetting that I had to take the 5th penalty. I look up, there's Alan Kennedy in the box. I said to the gaffer, excuse me, it should be me. He says, if it takes you this long to get here, you can suffer like the rest of us and watch him take the penalty. Alan Kennedy put the ball down, and he's already told the whole squad, if I get a penalty, I know where I'm going to put it. Bottom right, bottom right, bottom right. And he hit it, boom, so quickly, top left. You know that he's won us that European Cup on the last kick with a missing. In 1981, cast your mind back, 1981, Parc de France, playing against Real Madrid, 83rd minute. He is seen at his own 18-yard line talking to his captain. And apparently he said to his captain, Phil Thompson, Phil, I'm off. And Phil Thompson thought, well, maybe he's getting substituted. So he says, go on then. And he started running from there, up the left wing, fast as he could, past the home dugout, over the half line, past the opposition dugout, to the other 18-yard line, where Ray Kennedy was just about to throw the ball to Kenny Dalglish. He released the ball, it didn't get to Kenny, because it hit Alan Kennedy on his shoulder. And it bounced over into the box. He jumped over the right full back, and he said, there was only one place for me to hit it there. Bottom right, bottom right. Where did he hit it? Top left. Now you know Alan Kennedy has won us 2 European Cups with 2 misses.
All right, so you mentioned some great names that you've played with. One of the questions, we had a few questions, I don't think we've got time to go through all of them, but one of the questions we had earlier on was, if you had to put together a 5-a-side team of players you played with in your career, and you've already mentioned Ray Clemence, Souness, who would you have in your 5-a-side team? And would Ray Clemence be in goal, or would you be in goal?
No, it's my team, I'll be in goal. He can sit on the bench. If it's my team, I'd have on a 5-a-side team.
Yeah.
Souness to sit there, Dalglish to put his behind into the defense, Rush, Barnes, and probably Stevie Nicol. So that's my 5. You can carry on. You can carry on.
Yeah, okay. So one of the other questions we got, which was a little bit more controversial earlier, a little bit later in your career at Liverpool, you had a bit of a run-in with a young Steve McManaman. What did you actually say? It's quite hard to do the lip reading.
Well, with Steve McManaman at Everton, I wasn't really after Steve McManaman. I was angry that Steve McManaman, when I shouted away, because he was near post, and he kicked a lazy left foot, and it just cleared the 18-yard line, where he could have just stuck it out for another corner and let us take our chances from that. So it was a little bit of anger there, but it wasn't really him that I was after. I was after the person that was trying to block the ball. When Ward hit it, Ward came streaming in, and the ball had come out like this, and the person going to block the ball had thrown his handbag like that, and then he went, and turned his back. And I didn't like that. And I was racing toward him, and I thought, oops. McManaman was in the right place at the wrong time. And I said, and you little... When I say away, put it away, and that's when you see me go, put it away. And then I pushed him, and he shoved me, the little slappy daddy. And then we carried on playing. Coming to the dressing room after the game, and I'm like this, and I see the door open, and as I look up, I see a football boot coming straight for my head. Hit my clothes, I look up, it's Graham Souness. He said, never do that in my watch. I said, well, where is that fella that turned his back? Oh, he's in the bath. I got all my gear off and I ran and jumped in the bath and grabbed his hair, big fluffy. Put it under the water, sat on his head, I'm trying to drown him. And everybody's trying to pull me off. Well, yeah, in the end they did. But I'm very good friends with him now. On Facebook. If you want to know who it is, it's Mark Walters.
Okay. Yeah.
Mark Walters turned his back. And the reason why I didn't want to go there and do that on the pitch is because you know what the press would have said. And that's the only reason.
Yeah.
I stopped myself because of that conflict. And I grabbed hold of Steve McManaman. And to this day, we sit there and we laugh about this because of all the social media and all the stuff and the misconceptions between your comrades. It's a mess. So when we sit there and we laugh about it, he sits there and says, you haven't Facebooked me yet. And I see him every second weekend at Liverpool. So Mark Walters and myself, McManaman, I played with him in Hong Kong for Liverpool.
Yep.
At the age of 66, I played in front of I think it was 12,500 people for a team, Liverpool versus Manchester United. Yeah. You know, we played there as a former players in Hong Kong, 12,500 people in the stadium. The next week, without Messi, the MLS team that he plays for, Inter Miami, played against the Hong Kong Select in front of 2,500 people.
Yeah.
So I'm one up from
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for the.
May I just say something? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to thank the Three Musketeers for inviting me here. But for the Helsinki Supporters Club, thank you very much. It's a great honor for myself and my wife to come here for this dinner. I'm sorry that it wasn't on a higher level because of the draw today, but this is what football's about. But please, believe me when I tell you, I've been through 5 managers by playing with Liverpool. So you must understand, and I understand where your grief comes when our manager, our great manager, said he's going. Please support the team. Support the team as I support the team from when I first played until now. Not until now, until I go. And thank you very much for being such a loyal supporters and for your funding for food banks. Thank you with all my heart, because what you said there on the Veterans Day and everything, as myself as an ex-veteran, for me, thank you.
Another big hand for the viewer.
One thing you gotta know, I've come here to Finland in 1981, and I thought I knew about this little movie that you had. But today when my wife said we're going to go and find a movie place, well, when I found it, I remember it because my daughters used to watch the movie TV show, and I found a hippo. But it's in Finland. And you know what they called it? It's a hippio.